On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. So, woke up this morning, first thing, pop on the news, see what's kind of going on, just to see if there's anything really interesting to talk about. Q's still quiet, so okay, nothing there, obviously. We've got Senator Graham's in the middle of hearings, asking some very pertinent questions. I think some awesome stuff's going to come out of that, but still a little early to tell. We've got this whole vote by mail scandal, everything under the sun being talked about. Again, hogging news cycles right now. They've got nothing better to talk about. And again, we've got an event coming. I'm not sure when or where. It's coming soon. There's going to be another event. They're going to take advantage of this somehow. But on top of that, there's also some discussion about how we've got a vaccine, 6 of them apparently, that are in the running. A few of them are actually in, third stage or whatever. So coming along nicely, and they're actually suspecting, maybe hopefully so, I don't know, that we're planning on having millions of vaccines available to us, millions of doses anyways, by the end of the year, this calendar year. So they're just jamming ahead on that. So I was like, all right, well, that's interesting. Nothing really exciting, nothing groundbreaking. Kind of things are still in motion. There are some awesome little knickknacks, but kind of a rabbit hole led me to this other thing that I started to realize, which is something that is not talked about at all. Now, first off, China's not talked about at all. It's the giant elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about. Obviously, the Dems are in bed with the Chinese. This is becoming apparent. The Republicans are definitely starting to call it out, and this is being seen as such. But upon a little more digging, I realized there is a lot going on in China right now. There is a lot of anger with China right now. There are a lot of deals being changed and brokered with China right now. There are a lot of people paying attention to China in a very negative way right now. Pretty much the entire planet is looking at China right now and going, not good, folks, not good at all. Now, again, the things I'm going to share in this video, I do not want anybody out there to be looking at this as, oh, goody, Chinese people are suffering, that's awesome. No, that's horrible. That's horrible that anyone ever has to suffer. Much like our country right now, I'm not counting Trump and some of the good people, white hats, if you will, but much like our country, there's a lot of bad people in government. It's the bad people in government that we need to poo-poo and we need to shag our little fingers at, because it's not the people of the country. The people of China, for the most part, are scared. They're spying on each other. They've got these social scores. Not a great place to be chilling and hanging. But there is a lot going on right now in the world right now with China that is problematic. First off, just to give an example, because they're having all sorts of crazy stuff in the realm of natural disasters. And a lot of interesting things could come from that as well. We'll talk about that in a moment. But they're having summer snowfalls in their mountains. Now, it's the mountains, don't get me wrong. It's not like impossible, but literally snow fell. And that wasn't a bunch. It was like half an inch stuck, yada, yada. Kind of got through the day. Some cool pictures in here maybe of snow and some wildlife. And I don't know how you can tell these reindeer are Chinese reindeer. Maybe they make noise with an accent. Not sure. I'm not sure how you tell. But yeah, it's very cold, obviously, and something strange is going on with their weather in China. Now, this is one example of freakish nature, and a lot of people are going to be like, it's global warming. All right, maybe, sure, whatever. But China right now, definitely seeing some very odd weather. They've been getting a number of typhoons, and right now they've got Typhoon Hagaput. I don't know. They're hitting right now, like, I think it just made landfall like yesterday. So this is as of today, giant clouds, waves reported as high as 4.2 meters, which is what, like roughly 13 feet for us Americans? Pretty good sized waves, because generally waves, the metering is from the normal sea level to the bottom of the trough, like that's 13 feet, which means the face is double that usually. Kind of scary, or at least plus whatever the depth is. So again, this very scary stuff is going on. China is having all sorts of crazy weather right now. You can see there's some horrible pictures that's carving right through these streets. Apparently they've got this new drone that's being tested. Well, good on them. And of course it looks like they're setting up an Evel Knievel jump here, frankly, but they're tying up all the boats. I mean, again, scary stuff. They're getting some crazy weather. And this is not the first typhoon. This is just another one that is coming through and just wreaking havoc, dropping tons of rain. Now, supposedly, and it's the Yangtze, or there's some other dam, I forget the name of it, but there's this dam that's questionable concrete, questionable integrity, the way it was built. Some people have come out and tried to say it was rushed through, yada, yada. But there's some concerns that this giant dam, and possibly it's one of the world's largest, hands down, ginormous dam is possibly in danger of rupturing. And that would just kill millions and millions of people. So that's another horrible thing. So again, think I'm making this up? No. Natural disasters claimed 270 lives in 2020, which, again, some of these natural disasters, reasonably small from the life standpoint, especially when you think of billions of people. 11.5 billion worth of economic loss, so that's a pretty harsh storm. But they get into all sorts of issues that are going on. So we've got some 19,000 houses were destroyed, 785,000 houses damaged during the last 6 months across mainland China, causing an economic loss of 11.5 billion big B dollars. So we got last month, we had heavy floods in 8 provinces and regions of southern and eastern China affected. There's more than 1 million people involved there. June 8th, they had floods that affected at least 1.76 million people, with 120,000 evacuated, 9 dying, 5 missing. We've got in 2019, towards the end, they had natural disasters such as floods, typhoons, droughts, earthquakes, landslides, caused about $47.5 billion of damage last year. So on top of all the stuff that Trump's been doing as far as tariffs, as far as putting up his dukes, as far as not giving all this extra money, as far as backing out of some of these deals, a lot of these things are having an enormous impact on China just alone. And then on top of that, they've got locusts, there's just all sorts of crazy things are going on inside their own borders. Chinese, they have a food crisis right now. A food crisis. When you've got over 1 billion people to feed and you start having a food crisis, I don't know about you, but I would, in a country like that, I'd be a little nervous, or I'd at least be trying to figure out which neighbor I'm going to eat first, right? So they got rising demand, floods, insect infestations, and rumors of spoiled inventories are contributing to China's developing food-related woes. China has a food problem, folks. They've got a huge problem with their food because above average rainfall and rising floodwaters, they're not just threatening, their dam. That's that Three Gorges Dam. That's the one I was thinking of. But they're also having problems with the crops. It's causing huge issues. They're also finding problems with their inventory of corn. The corn's disintegrating. There's either a parasite or a bug in there or something. It's destroying their corn. And they've got China is not only the world's second largest corn producer behind the United States, it will also hold a full 65% of the world's corn inventories at the end of this crop year. They have that larger percentage, 65% of all the corn on the planet is sitting in China, and they've got an infestation that is occurring and ruining this crop. Obviously, there's a rising demand. More people want to eat, and they've got more people in that country. China is having serious issues. Well, what else might you ask? I'm glad you did. Thank you so much. They've got also internal political unrest and power struggles. So post this COVID-19, the way all this is played out, whether this was deep state that initiated Xi Jinping to do this, right? Hard to say. But however this played out, there's now an internal power struggle from a different political party that's now challenging him in their own kind of ways. Because again, it's one of those countries where you just, you're against me? Oh, done, right? Like, that's the end of my competition. That's easy. So again, they're doing it within their own ways, but they've actually got infighting now. There are a lot of people. After the ease of the lockdown by the Chinese authorities on March 25th, violent clashes were seen to be reported in border bridge of the Yangtze River between the provinces of Hubei and Jiangxi. I hope I'm saying that right. In the morning of March 27th, crowds got angry and they refrained from crossing the bridge. The Hubei residents were stopped from exiting the province, which led to heavy sloganeering. That all being said, a lot of people getting pissed off. There's not just the internal struggles, the internal population getting mad at the government and why aren't you helping us? A lot of people are dying, a lot of people are starving. But on top of that, there's political factions that are rising up to try to cause problems. Little mini wars are starting to spark up within China. Now again, so far, if you look at any one of these issues alone, That's problematic just in and of itself. Like Portland riots here in the United States, problematic for our whole country. One city, one riot, one burning city, a lot of people concerned, a lot of problems. It's sparking, no pun intended, other avenues, and at the same time, it's causing a lot of people to be concerned about our security. One small thing can cause a huge difference. Now, I'm not talking butterfly effect crazy, like a butterfly flaps its wings over here and then all of a sudden a typhoon happens in China. No. But these things are significant in and of themselves, and I've already pointed out a number of these individual things that are happening simultaneously. What else is going on? Well, again, glad you asked. China is now known throughout the world as a threat to human rights. Now, of course, China's feeling about this, like everybody's pissed at us, we're not really cool with human rights, and got a lot of people inside of my own little group that are dissenting, can't have that. So how do I resolve this? How do I make the world happy? How do I appease all these people that are saying I'm treating humans worse than anybody else ever in the history of any government? Communist government, by the way. The fact that they're doing this, guess what they decided to do? They doubled down. They doubled down. Oh, no, you're pissed at us? We're going to do more of it. Watch this. So again, we're going to have this resurgence of sort of another Tiananmen Square, most likely. And probably going to be someplace that we'll talk about here in just a moment. So again, a lot of people, huge problem with what China's doing, with how China's treating people. The human rights, the fact that they kill people, organ harvesting, the way they use prisoners. Like, I mean, dude, we could do an hour probably just on that, easily. There is so much going on. Europe's pissed. Eastern Europe, Russia, France, I mean, us, Canada, Australia, like New Zealand, India, I mean, all over the place. All over the place right now is like, dude, China, you suck. Now, some of them say, shh, dude, die quiet, you suck. Right? Because, you know, if they say it out loud, they get killed. But, you know, for the rest of us that are standing on the outside of the electric fence, we're like, oh, it sucks over there. But, again, a lot of people saying that. Another thing that's very interesting in this world of escalation that we seem to be living in right now, of course, there's a lot of talk, right? China, 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 they're going to kill us, they're going to kill us, they're going to kill us. Well, I'm actually not too sure about that. Russia made a deal with China. This goes back, I think, last year or whatever. A lot of money. And it's talking about this S-400 missile system. And in all honesty, from the American standpoint, this S-400 missile system is definitely difficult to deal with. And we've got some stealth technologies and whatnot, but these missile systems are designed to track stealth. I mean, I'm sure of it. Stealth is a reasonably old technology from today's standpoints. Russia's been making some of the finest surface-to-air missiles forever. I mean, they're the ones that shot down the U-2. This thing's got a range of 400 miles, apparently, 400 kilometers, sorry, and I think a height of 30 kilometers, which is pretty impressive. So China had ordered a bunch of these. And Russia just recently said, yeah, so you know what? We're not gonna continue to send you these right now. We're gonna put a little pause on your purchase because you were spying on us. And that's what Russia said. They're like, no, don't like this. You were spying on us. They caught them spying, doing something. Pissed Russia off bad. Coincidentally, Russia also had this same little delivery sale with India, starting a small little Cold War is what it sounds like, and making a ton of money. And hey, they learned from the best. That's the United States. That's how we roll, right? We start little Cold Wars throughout the world, sell both sides weapons, let them blow each other up. Whatever side wins, we're like, oh, all right, you're indebted to us now forever. And if you ever change your mind, we'll kill you, right? So that's kind of how we roll. It's cool. Russia's doing the same. Well, China's kind of freaking everybody out right now. And they said, yo, time out, not doing it, holding, offsides. Not doing this no more. India, hey, you know that deal we had with you guys? Hey, we happen to have some extra missiles that we'd like to get to you sooner than later. Are you cool with that? And India's like, yes, please. So, again, I don't know if you've heard, there's little tensions going on between India and China. When the two largest populations of the planet start looking at each other, that can only be bad, right? So, got to keep that under control. And again, China's in a place right now where they're pretty weakened. They're in a weakened state. They've got many, many fronts. You got the whole South China Sea. You got us sending 2 carrier groups in and out of there. You got a lot of stuff. They got floating islands. China is trying to defend a very large area. And to have this giant population, India, over on their other border, where they could easily just send gobs of troops over if they wanted. Now, to amass that many, they'd show up on satellite. There's no way they could do it secretly. But China is definitely in a place right now where they are very fragile and not as strong as one might think. Now, we've talked about The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I love saying that. And when you talk about kind of how Trump's behaving right now and how China's behaving right now, The Art of War talks about pretending you are strong or presenting yourself as strong when you are weak, and show people that you are weak when you're in fact strong. So we've got these two sides right now that are just not getting along, and we're trying to figure out how to remedy this out. So again, Russia's making additions or changes to how they're selling a very capable system. And they're now sending this over to India, which again is a problem for China. Now, this is the side of it where they're actually working this New Delhi system, $5 billion deal for state-of-the-art missile defense system. Now, this was signed back in 2018. Again, it's being kind of pushed ahead a little bit faster now, and they're expecting to have all of these missiles done by 2021. So India is moving forward in a very big way. Now, the one hotspot that's really going to come to play on this planet is going to be Hong Kong. And so, no, not Donkey Kong, Hong Kong. No, not King Kong, Hong Kong. Who the hell's Joe Kong? No, not him. Not Genghis Khan. That's not even right. It's Khan, not Kong. Hong Kong. Thank you very much. Sorry, had to put you through that. Hong Kong activists. All sorts of stuff is going on in Hong Kong right now. There's protests like mad. There is crazy letters what Hong Kong banned Legco's hopefuls fail to grasp. This was just recently. 4 arrested in connection with firebomb attacks in a Hong Kong school. Hong Kong magistrate declines teens guilty plea over protest arrest, citing weak evidence. Beijing suspends Hong Kong's extradition deal with New Zealand. More than 2,500 signed petition against dismissal of HKU legal scholars Benny Tai. Again, so much stuff's going on in Taiwan, and you've got a lot of people that are coming out in the world right now that are paying huge attention to how China's basically latched onto this area that they made a deal with England eons ago when they gave it back to China. And they said, but you're going to let them stay a democratic state for 100 years or whatever. China's like, yeah, of course, trust me, and then cross their fingers behind their back. Well, here they are, taking that away. So there's a lot of attention being played on this, and I'll tell you from the human rights standpoint, you know full well, if China does anything crazy in Hong Kong, the world's response is probably going to be harsh. And China right now is pretty much backed into a corner. Now, from the Western standpoint, or here in America, I don't know about you guys, where you're at, but the news makes it sound like China's about ready to just snap their fingers and squash us like bugs. Come to find out, their technology is far from where we're at. They have stolen a bunch, but when you look at their aircraft carriers, they're like Gen 1, Gen 2. They've still got sloped up ramps because they don't know how to actually do the catapult system yet. China's still using 3rd and 4th gen fighters. They still don't truly have a stealth fighter yet. They still don't have something that's kind of equivalent to the F-22 or the F-35 Lightning. China's behind the times from submarine standpoint. They haven't put a lot of effort into submarine warfare. In fact, they've got no combat experience in submarine warfare. China is not in a position where they could literally send millions of people to the United States if they wanted to invade us. They're not capable. They don't have the transport vehicles. They don't have boats. It would take so long we could blow their boats up in the middle of the ocean. Like, there's no way they could do it. So we've constantly had it told to us that China's so strong, and they are becoming so. But I think we came in at a good time and sort of pumped the brakes a bit on that. And right now, the rest of the world's looking at China and saying, yo, you guys aren't doing good stuff. And you've got a lot of things you're talking good, but a lot of these countries around the world are starting to realize, hey, China just comes in, offers us money, and then all of a sudden they take us over or control us. Again, probably learned from the United States and Britain. I think we just continued their same thing. So a lot of people are paying attention to this. It's not getting much airplay. It's not getting much time on the news cycles because why? Who's in charge? Who literally is running the show, and where were they hoping to transfer their power after the United States was destroyed? Yeah, China. Guess where all those dark state people are going? Yeah, that's where they're going. So again, we'll have more great news coming tomorrow. A lot of stuff's working through. Again, Lindsey Graham's doing some great interviews, kind of throwing some stuff at people. I think we're going to get some good quotes out of that. And I think there's a lot to keep people busy just so they're yelling at each other. And then the rest of it's like, while the kids are arguing, mom and dad are actually taking care of business. Or while they're arguing, we're actually packing the car for the vacation. Like, just leave the kids alone to argue. It's giving us a moment of freedom. And that's kind of what's going on right now. A lot is happening in the background. And there's a lot of things that we apparently don't get told on a regular basis that I think actually should give a lot of us hope. We're moving in the right direction, and I do think that a lot of people are waking up to what's really going on in the world. And that's all we can hope for, from my standpoint anyways. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.